great to see you. Right off the top, I got to ask you, how was the Canada Day weekend? Because I know you were involved with a massive festival that also included Chantal Kreviazuk was there, Burton Cummings. It was something amazing.
We did a great festival out in Kingston called Line Spike, and that was my 80s to 90s band, where I do all the number one hits of the 80s: Simple Minds, Tears for Fears, The Cure, The Cult, In Excess. It was fabulous. And then last night, Glass Tiger opened up for Rod Stewart here in Quebec City, and there was like, I don't know, 70,000 people there. It was just unbelievable. A massive, massive show.
Well, I know that we are the baby boomers, some of us. And I think I read somewhere where somebody was saying in the next couple of years, the 80s are going to turn 50. How do you feel about that, man?
Yeah, it's like if you take, I think, 1980 and then you subtract it, you get the years between 1980 and 2025, and then you go to 1980 and subtract the same amount of years. I think we're in the Second World War, or just coming out of the cowboy age. I don't know what it is, but it's ridiculous.
It's a massive comeback going on with nostalgia with a lot of what's going on with 80s and also 90s too. I'm going to throw that in there too.
Mm.
Is it because of there's so many of us now, or is it just the fact that even young folks
Oh,
are
really? Really?
appreciating?
What was I'm telling you? Last night is a classic example because I joke with them. I'll say how many people saw us in I've seen us before, and maybe only a third of the hands go up. And then I say, of those that raised your hands, how many saw us in 1986? Boom. And then I joke with them and I say, where were the rest of you? And of course, they weren't even born yet. And you know, for Richard Marx and then Rod Stewart coming on after us, the amount of young people it's off the charts. So you've got the combination of the boomers and slightly less who we love the 80s, and we know what the music and the melodies were like, and the 90s added a little bit of that grunge about it, and sort of upped the game a little bit again. But then people like my own daughter, who's only 20, they're discovering the 80s and the 90s, and so they're also bringing it back. I truly believe that.
It's funny. I'm going to admit this to some people. I'm going to admit this to everybody. I actually cried about a week or two ago, and I mean but tears started coming down because I was sitting there and I was thinking about the 80s, and I was thinking about the music and the style and the person I was and whatever. And as much as I love life today, I really miss that time.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
mean,
hard to explain that to people who haven't lived it, but I really miss that time.
I agree. I mean, we try not to sound like old cynical fogies and saying, "Oh, but I guess you would have had to have lived it like we did, and there was just something about the period, the era, that it felt it felt kinder in its approach. It felt like it uplifted. The songs seem to be written to try and lift your spirits up, and there just seemed less anger about it, and less divisiveness. I'm sure there's people would come out the woodwork and say, "Oh yeah, well, Ronald Reagan and blah blah blah," and
Yeah.
they can always do that. But I know that there was something really special about the presentation of music, and of course, the introduction of video. It changed the landscape.
The thing I try to explain to young people was it didn't matter when it came to especially music bringing people together. It did not matter if you're a black, white, wherever you were. It didn't matter what your religion was. Didn't matter if you're gay or straight, whatever. When it came to the songs and the music and the places that we went to, whether it be at concerts like yours or at a club, we danced, we celebrated. And at those moments, nothing in the world mattered except that moment. And I think that's where the difference was. We lived those moments together, whereas today we live through phones and
Yeah,
social media.
yeah. People came to concerts in the 80s and watched the concert. Now you're on stage and everybody's watching you through their phones. Um, there was that great. You still there, Rudy?
Yeah, still here.
I thought we'd get cut off. There was that great Budweiser commercial. I'm not promoting Budweiser, but it was the one where Tiger Woods was teeing off, and there was this one guy drinking a Budweiser beer, watching Tiger tee off, and every other human being had their phones out. And so the beer company decided, wow, that guy's cool. Let's give him free beer or whatever. And that's what it was like at the concerts. People dressed up and they came out with their phones. They came to watch and participate and sing along. But now people just seem to be so into their phones that they have to. I've even had people watch the concert through an iPad. They're holding their iPad up to capture it. It's up to them, but
Yeah.
wouldn't be me.
It's funny you said about dressing up because I was at the Kendrick Lamar show, and one of the things I had said to my girl was basically, it's like, man, when I used to go to concerts, people dressed to the nine. And even if they didn't, they had on something that was, cool, if I could use that term. But today, people, I was like, half these guys look like they just came out of their backyards digging a hole and they're going to the show. Like, again, like you said, you might sound old fuddy duddy, but whatever. But I just miss that, like I said, dressing up. You had your shoes, your whatever, but you just went out to celebrate.
I did a show last year at the Opera House in Toronto with my 80s, 90s rewind band. And we encouraged people. We had a photo booth there and we encouraged people to come out in their best 80s. And it's hilarious. It's hilarious. And yeah, some young people might find it silly, but I've even noticed now, though, that some of the young people that are coming out, having discovered the 80s through their parents or, dare I say, their grandparents, oh, please, uh, they enjoy dressing up uh,
Yeah.
and having fun with it.
Yeah, and you know what, man? And just so you know, I still have my see-through crayon shoes that I'm waiting for the right moment to wear, and I still have my Aldo from the 80s snake skin pointed shoes, again, waiting for the right moment. Maybe the right moment's going to be over at the castle because as we speak, man, you're going to be heading to Toronto or Canada's most famous castle. You got a big show going on there.
Yes, thanks to Nick Donato and the Liberty Group, they're bringing back the symphonies, and I'm part of the rock symphony at Casa Loma. We have Maestro Paolo Busato, I believe his name is, yeah, Busato. And I'm doing July, I think it's the 8th and the 22nd, where I'll come out and perform with the Rock Symphony Orchestra at Casa Loma. It's fabulous. I love it. I love it.
Have you done something like this before where your music has been with an orchestra? Because
Yeah.
and I'm gonna jump in and I'm gonna explain something because this shows how your songs and songs like that are timeless when you can take an orchestra and put it to that.
Yeah, so years ago, they're still doing it, but I was part of it years ago. My friend, my colleague at the time and manager, Sharon Brennan, and her husband, Peter Brennan, in London, Ontario, they have Genes and Classics, which was matching orchestras up with rock music, Led Zeppelin and Def Leppard, and then they did a kind of rock pop kind of thing, and Glass Tiger was perfect for that. So I did two or three of them, and then I had some fun with them. I actually wanted to be part of one night that when they were doing the Beatles because I think I can deliver the Beatles quite well. So yes, I've done it, and it's really special, and I'm really looking forward to the atmosphere with Casa Loma and the Rock Symphony. I think it's going to be beautiful.
It's a great setting. Can I ask what some of the songs will be? Do we know yet?
I'm only doing four,
Okay.
and I believe I'm doing someday.
Yep.
Don't forget me when I'm gone.
Of course.
My town
Nice.
and Thin Red Line.
Fantastic. Could you imagine doing a show and not doing Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone? Like you realize that if you guys ever came out, performed, and then didn't do that song, they'd probably burn down the venue.
Yeah, I mean, people ask, how can you keep doing it? And and the reason is, and I'm sure Mick Jagger would say the same about Honky Tonk Woman, or Rod Stewart would say the same about Do You Think I'm Sexy? Even though we do it so many times, and think about writing it and then recording it and rehearsing it. So we've done them thousands of times. But when you get up on that stage in front of an audience, there's always little idiosyncrasies. There's always things that make the mood different. The feel is different. And so it allows you to, uh, present the song almost fresh again, as if you're kind of doing it for the first time. I know that's a bit ridiculous, but there's a different connection to every audience.
You know what's going to be cool? To hear an orchestra doing that horn section for that song. That's going to be really cool to see.
Yeah, that's I chose it because for that reason, right? It really and Thin Red Line's going to be interesting with the orchestra. I've never done that before. That'll be very interesting.
What's the rest of the year looking like for you, my friend? More shows?
We've got more summer shows coming up with Glass Tiger. I have a London, Ontario date with my 80s band. I know we're doing Glass Tigers doing New Year's Eve in Waterloo. And I'm kind of getting back into the public speaking game. So I'm going to work on, I've been doing a podcast that I've been filming and I'll launch that. And I want to step back into the public speaking arena. But I will leave you on this note that if you haven't got your tickets yet, please check out the Rock Symphony at Casa Loma, and I'll be there July. It's a Tuesday, right? July 8th
Yep.
and the 22nd.
Fantastic. We'll wrap it up there. My friend, always great speaking with you. Thanks for
Oh,
making time for me. And I'll say it 1,000 times, man. If you told that kid who was driving that 86 Camaro playing your songs that I could call you a friend in the future when the 80s was slowly going to be turning to 50 years, I would never have believed it. So I say thank you
well,
for that, man.
and if you'd have told that kid in Scotland watching Rod Stewart prancing up and down with a feather boa, singing Maggie May, if you'd have told that kid he was going to do a duet with Rod Stewart, I would have thought you were crazy as well.
My friend, thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you, Rudy.